You know, I used to think the news was there to tell us what was happening. However, these days it feels more like it is telling us what we are supposed to think. The BBC whispers apologies, Sky News shouts headlines, and social media, well, that is just a global shouting match where everyone is right and nobody listens. It is like watching a circus, only the clowns think they are serious journalists. Out here in Thailand, even the chickens gossip with more honesty than half the pundits do online. Get comfortable because today we are asking the big one. Can we believe the news anymore? Or is the truth now just another trending topic? I used to think the news told me what was happening. Now I suspect it tells me what I am supposed to think. Remember when journalists reported facts, not feelings? Me neither. It has been that long. If aliens landed tomorrow, the media would not ask why are they here, they would argue about what pronouns to use. The BBC used to be the voice of Britain. Nowadays it sounds like it is apologising for existing. Here in Thailand, I get more honest news from my neighbours' chickens than from the evening bulletins back home. Alright then, pull up a chair, pour yourself something sensible and let us chat. Because if you thought politicians were bad at telling the truth, wait until you see what the media does with it. Now, I'm not saying every journalist is a liar. Some are good people trying to make some sense of chaos. However, somewhere along the line, the media stopped being a watchdog and became more of a lapdog, wagging its tail when the right people fed it and barking only when it is told to. There was a time, or at least we like to think there was, when the evening news meant something solid. A bloke in a suit would tell you the facts and you would believe him. These days, every fact comes with a political flavour and a social media spin. The BBC says one thing, Sky News the other, GB News shouts the opposite, The Guardian gasps, the Daily Mail explodes. As if that was not enough, somewhere in between, the truth quietly packs its bags and slips out the back door. Newsrooms used to be filled with reporters who hunted down corruption. Now they chase clicks. They used to ask questions that made politicians sweat. Now they ask questions that make a Twitter trend. What's more, if they cannot make it trend, they will make it emotional. How do you feel about this, they ask, because feelings sell, facts do not. Here's the thing, journalism used to inform, now it performs. Every headline is a mini drama. Every story is a morality play with heroes, villains and hashtags. You do not get complex stories anymore. You get outrage in 12 words or less. Because outrage equals attention and attention equals money. We have turned journalism into a fast food, greasy, addictive and a guarantee to give you mental indigestion. What's more, you cannot escape it. Every platform, every notification, every blinking banner. You click on a story about the weather and end up reading about Meghan Markle's astrological birth chart, because apparently that is related content. Let us be honest, the British press could sell drama to Shakespeare. They love a good scandal, but not necessarily the right scandal. A minister fibs about a party, front page outrage for weeks. A policy quietly undermines free speech or fair law, tucked on page 14 next to a crossword. Then there is the BBC, once the gold standard, now the goldfish standard, forgetful, nervous and afraid to offend anyone with a pulse. They have traded balance for fragile harmony. Meanwhile, tabloids are still doing what they do best, whipping up moral storms while selling adverts for gambling and lip fillers. Britain's going mad, they cry, right next to an article about how to get six-pack abs in 4 minutes. Of course, it is not just Blighty. Across the pond you have CNN versus Fox, like two drunks fighting over who is more sober. Both claim to be the voice of truth, but both spend half their airtime insulting each other's audience. Then there is social media, the wild west of misinformation, where your mate's cousin's dog walker can post a rumour, and by tea time it is breaking news. Algorithms have replaced editors, bots have replaced fact checkers. On top of that, we, the audience, have become the product. Little data points for advertisers, spoon-fed stories that confirm what we already believe. It is the perfect echo chamber where everyone is right, nobody listens, and nonce is left to die in a ditch somewhere between X, Twitter and TikTok. Now, let me break the rant for a moment with a bit of Thai reality. Here in my village, the biggest media network is the old bloke who sells coconuts. He knows everything. Who is getting married, whose buffalo escaped, which cousin owes money to which auntie. Besides, do you know what? His news might be gossip, but at least it is honest gossip. He does not call it breaking news. He calls it, I heard it this morning. Compare that to the British press, where sources say usually means we read it on Twitter and cannot prove a word of it. So yes, out here in the topic, surrounded by geckos and honesty, I'm starting to think village gossip might be more reliable than 24-hour news. Here is a real irony. The media now reports on itself. Outrage as presenter says outrageous things. Journalist accused of bias. News outlet defends its news outlet. It is as if you are watching a snake eat its own tail, except the snake charges you a subscription fee for the privilege. They are not just telling stories anymore, they are starring in them. Every anchor is a celebrity, every journalist a brand. The focus has shifted from truth to profile. The camera lens has turned around and the viewer is now left watching an endless loop of vanity. Now you might think, all right old man, calm down, it is just news. Nevertheless, here is why it matters. When we cannot trust our media, we cannot trust our leaders or ourselves. A free press is supposed to hold power to account. However, if it is busy protecting one side and attacking the other, who is left to hold them accountable? The erosion of trust seeps into everything: elections, health, safety, law. We do not know what is true anymore, so we believe nothing, or worse, anything. A public that stops believing truth even exists is easy to control. Feed them enough noise and they will give up trying to hear the signal. So, what can we do? Here is my advice for what it is worth. Question everything. Not just what you disagree with. Question what you believe, that you want to believe too. Read from different sources. If something sounds too perfect for your side, it probably is not. Do not confuse opinion with evidence. They are not the same, no matter how loudly someone tweets. And for heaven's sake, take breaks. Your sanity is worth more than tomorrow's headlines. Please remember, the media thrives on fear and friction. Calm does not sell. Outrage does. So do not feed the beast. Starve it of clicks, and it just might learn manners again. So, can we believe the news anymore? Well, yes and no. There is truth out there. However, you just have to dig for it. Nevertheless, do not expect it to come neatly packaged between adverts and influencer interviews. The media is like a dodgy tuk-tuk driver. It will take you for a ride, tell you what you want to hear, and then overcharge you when you're not looking. However, maybe, just maybe, if we keep calling out the nonsense, rewarding the honest and switching off when it is all too much, the system might just remember what its job was. Until then, I will stick to my Thai gossip network. It may be 90% rumour, but that is still 10% more truth than the evening news. Therefore, my friends, stay skeptical, stay curious, and never forget, if the truth sounds boring, it is probably real. If it sounds exciting, it is probably marketing. Now, if you were to excuse me, my neighbour just told me a chicken crossed the road, and frankly, I trust him more than the BBC. If this little rant hit home, give it a thumbs up, share it with someone who still believes the BBC is neutral, and drop a comment below. Where do you get your truth these days? Oh, and subscribe for more of my moaning, mumbling and occasionally meaningful musings from rural Thailand. Well, there you have it, another day, another headline, another reason to keep your wits about you. The truth is still out there somewhere, probably stuck behind a paywall or hiding in a Thai rice field. Until next time, stay skeptical, stay sane, and remember, even the village chickens double check their sources. Thanks for listening, and goodbye.